Morning if you are on the East Coast, because you know we are in Georgia. Hello, hello. How y'all doing? We have some things to talk about. Let's go. Let's talk about first. Y'all know we have to do no, that's the drive. We have to do the disclaimer first. I hope your morning is going well. Should be this one. And it should be right here. Disclaimer. The videos presented here, or this video, this live stream presented here, is for informational purposes only, and therefore if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at your institution you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of creator Henry is only speaking from his experience. Boring stuff out the way. Okay. So there has been some things going on. Let's refresh this. Some higher ed things as usual. This one happened maybe some days ago. I think yesterday they reposted it, some information on it. And so, just now we got some from Linda. What she said? She said, don't be afraid to take risks. That's what Linda said. Don't be afraid to take risks. I don't think that's much, but so jumping right into it, give you a little story. I always like to start with a story before we just start off with some things. If it's your first time, welcome. This is about higher education, of course. The goal is to bring the truth and to higher education and why you should start at a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year. And we strongly believe that the ultimate goal of higher education will be to the point where higher education will not be affordable. And so, well, not affordable. Let's say it won't be accessible / affordable to everyone. And everyone should do their part in ensuring that they get a degree. Because I believe everybody should get a degree. And I'm just going into the control room, everyone. Don't mind me. And then yeah. Perfect. Okay. So one of my stories I want to start off with. Let's see what story I have for you all. I haven't prepped. I don't prep for these stories. I just think of a story that comes to mind. Not major, but when I was in higher ed, when I was at my 2-year, guys, when I was at my 2-year, I was taking I took remedial English, and I took remedial English and regular English. I took remedial English and regular English because I didn't score high on, it's called the compass test. I don't know what each state does. Everyone take a compass test, but I had to take a compass test. And how do I put it? It put me in remedial English and regular English. And so, same for math. And when I was taking my English class, I was taking it with a guy. He had a crazy last name. Crazy last name. I'm talking about his name was like, I could pronounce it, but I don't want to say it. It was like something with Avalakis. And so, cool instructor. A little awkward, but cool instructor. And his class was very hard. He made it very hard. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot. It was very hard, but I learned a lot. Um, if you don't know, I really couldn't read early on when I was in high school. Well, coming up, I just had got kind of on my reading level in high school. I wouldn't say I was on my reading level because I still couldn't test and get. I still couldn't test and be on my level without the remedial. So I wouldn't say I was on my level. And so when I'm taking a class with, we're gonna call him S, Mr. S, I was writing a paper. I called it Gatorade, but I didn't spell it like Gatorade. It was like Gatorade, like Gator and rating, like rating something, like running in the buildings. And I wrote that paper, turned it into him, and pretty much he gave me like a 10 or 20. It was a low grade because he said I didn't follow the writing prompt. I didn't. And so I was trying to figure out how I didn't follow the writing prompt. And I said, well, what can I do to get the grade up? He said, you should rewrite the whole paper. I said, that was like 5 paragraphs. That probably was like a 2 to 3 page paper. I'm not gonna tell you no story. It was probably like a 2 to 3 page paper. And then I rewrote the paper and got a better grade. Then when it came to the end, I never made an A in the English class. And so when I went to him in his instructor hour time, he told me I was sitting at like a C in his class. I was sitting at like a C, very close to a B. And I went to his instructor class, or not instructor class, cubicle, and during his hours, and I said, hey, not doctor, he wasn't a doctor, Mr. S. I said, can we bump this up to a B? I deserve a B. And he was like, why you deserve a B? I was like, because I showed up to class on time. I used to beat you to class. He gave everybody like an additional 5 minutes. Like he always showed up exactly 5 minutes after starting class. And so I brought that up to him because I noticed that every time we had class. And for anybody who's getting ready to go to college, you have class like Mondays and Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays, or you can have them every day of the week. It all depends how you want to set your schedule up when you're talking to your academic advisor. And so I told him that. I said I work hard, blah blah blah, and I just proved and built my case to tell him that. And so he said, all right. And then he bumped it up to a B, and I ended up getting a B instead of a C. And so always, moral of the story, always just try to talk to your instructor and see what they'll do. And always back up your information with facts with them because they'll bump your grade up if you bring like proof. Like I was here before you every time. They'll know they're gonna hopefully they be truthful and real with themselves. So and so in the chat. So now we get to the one big beautiful bill. I like to start with a story. I feel like you can learn from stories sometimes. Not the most fascinating and interesting story, but it was a good story, I think. I think it was a good story. It's cool, crickets. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. So, the One Big Beautiful Bill. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act. What is that, right? So, let me go to save post. Because that was a post that caught my eye, everyone. What was on this? Okay. Not that one. So it was posted by Inside Higher Ed. Inside Higher Ed, it was like the post goes like this. It's on X, formerly Twitter. It said, after much back and forth and late night dealing, House Republicans have passed a sweeping budget plan. Yeah, have passed a sweeping budget plan to cut spending and taxes that is moving on to the Senate. A significant milestone for legislation that seemed dead in the water. So this is very important. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And once again, it's posted by Inside Higher Ed. Why is it important? Because it affects higher ed. This is a higher ed channel. If you're going to college and you're not paying attention, it's okay, I guess, because people been going to school not paying attention to higher ed information. But I just know if I had the chance to pick and choose to hear information about higher ed and how to navigate it, I think I would listen a little bit. So we had read the article. Yeah, we read the article. We read the article. Not we didn't scan read this one. We read it. And so let's go over some notes because some more information might come up. First and foremost, this bill got passed because House Republicans passed the bill. So common denominator, president is a Republican, his administration's Republican, they are Republican. It seems like, when the votes were going on, when voting did happen, I ain't the biggest political person. That's why we need people in the chat so we can learn from each other. It's heavily Republican now versus Democratic. So this probably did get pushed back or vetoed in the past, or they probably just brought it up because the bill was introduced. I'm on a website called congress.gov. You all can go there and look at bills and acts and stuff like that. Act, like ACT, act. I'm probably not saying it right, but don't do me like that. And the bill was actually introduced like they say the last action was on 5/22/2005. And the bill probably wasn't introduced that long ago if we click on it. It's called like HR1. Usually that's when the bill is introduced. Let me see if I can find it right quick. Yes, this bill was introduced on 5/20/25. So this is the first time it ever been introduced, and it's already been sent to the Senate. That's incredibly fast. Not good, and fast. Once again, we nonpartisan, but this was only created, what today is, the 27th. This was only created like 7 days ago. And they're already pushing it through very fast. So the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is first about, well, let's be first. First and foremost, it's in the Senate. So once it goes past the Senate, it goes to the president. And he wanted this bill. They wanted this bill. So once it gets to him, it's guaranteed and it's signed, which means it's going to happen, which means you're like, oh, I'm not going to feel it. You're going to feel it. So the bill has been sent to the Senate. Republicans are changing who qualifies for Pell Grant. They're proposing that students should take 15 credit hours. If you are in college and you get Pell, for my Pell people out there, instead of you doing 12 credit hours and being pretty good, you're probably going to have to be most likely taking 15 credit hours. I say probably always because when they get to the states, they can choose like if they want to follow this. It's law, but they can choose how they want to change things because from state then to local, things can change. It always doesn't have to be unless the governor says, no, we following what the executive did. So 15, Alice Marie, 15, I would pass out. 15, I would pass out too. I would pass out too at 15. Can I like that? Can we like that? Can we heart that? I don't think we can see that. Did I heart that? Let me see. I'm gonna heart that. My heart's in the chat. Yeah, 15 is wow to boost it to 15 because then it takes away from you working. You know, I'm all about you getting a part-time job, but if you taking 15 credit hours, it would be a little hard for you to get a part-time job. I would say, um, it doesn't even get. It gets more a little. I would say more crazier because it's like they're trying to force you to be a full-time student, but then it's like, okay, let's be realistic here. How does somebody who is an athlete, I always say athletes as an example because that's like a full-time job. How is an athlete going to take 15 credit hours and focus on sports, focus on their sport? Now we're taking 15 credit hours. We took 15 credit hours. I took 15 credit hours before. But the thing is, when you take 15 credit hours, I don't got sports. I didn't have to do sports in college. So, and I felt like I was on a time constraint, trying to get A's and B's. So I guess you just gonna get straight C's. You're not gonna stay on that too long. But 15 credit hours could be your mandatory to be, could be full time. I don't know about part time, but you still can be full time, which would mean what you're gonna have to take to be a full time student is 15. They said they want to add a workforce Pell Grant. A lot of this discussion, this big beautiful bill app was about Pell Grants for some reason. So that's why we're talking about it. It was about the Pell Grants. Didn't really know it was gonna be about Pell Grants. I thought the one big beautiful bill act when I first saw it, I thought it was just about the Medicaid and stuff. But somebody wrote on how it's gonna affect potentially higher ed. So for all my professionals out there, this could hurt us as well. So they want to add a workforce Pell Grant. Not sure what that was or what that is because I didn't read the bill myself. The bill is like the actual bill. It's a document, of course. You can actually read it, and I believe it's 36. The actual bill is 30. I think they said 36. Yeah, it's like 36 pages. Yeah. The bill is like 36 pages. And so I didn't read that. I didn't read that yet. It's a lot of pages. All this is like law and policy, right? And some of that stuff might be redundant. They just probably took a lot of stuff and copy and pasted. Usually that's how it go. But who knows? It might get to the office and Trump administration, his people might tell him not to sign it. It might be more harmful than helpful. So, but I don't know. That was made 7 days ago. It might get passed through. And so they said cutting off Pell Grant for part time. That's why I was like, it's gonna be kind of hard for you to be a part time student. You're like, oh well, if you gonna make me do 15 credit hours, which is like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. It usually goes by threes. That's 5 classes. So they're saying if you're a part time student, which would be like 9 or 6 credit hours, depending where you're at, to be a part time student, you won't qualify for Pell, which means you'll have to use either loans. If you're a Pell Grant student, you have to use your loans, or you will have to use your money, like we always talk about. And then it's like, well, Henry, if they want me to take 15 credit hours to get my Pell, why not have to do 15? Not necessarily. If it was me, and I know, well, what I know now, I'm not gonna tell you no story. What I know now, I would do it normal. If I didn't have no knowledge, I would do it normal. But if I knew what you all knew, like I'm breaking it down now, I would just do part time. Depending, this way you need to go to a 2 year because when you go to a 2 year, it's going to, when you go to a 2 year, it's going to be affordable. I always go to my 2 year that I went to because I did it. I'm not just talking. I did it. My 2 year was $100 credit hour. It still might be 100 times. My phone is looking at y'all. So let me pull up a calculator right quick. Should be 1,200, but or 15. So if you take 15 credit hours times 100, that's $1,500. It's 100 per credit hour. So 100, 200. No, I'm doing that wrong. It's 100 times 3. That's what it is. So when it does 100 times 3, it's going to be 100 times that 15 because it's going to be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So you looking at $1,500, for example. If I was doing this like you all starting in college, it'd be 1,500. But that's how you'll get your Pell. That's if you want your Pell. So you'll be good. But if you do what, like we just said, 3, 6, 9, we're gonna say 9 credit hours. So if you do 100 times 9, that's what, 900. You don't have $900 at this 2 year. This 2 year is only gonna charge you $900 to be part time. I know y'all got that. I know y'all got that. 900. 900. Got me scratching my chin. 900. Gotta sit on that and listen to that. That 2 years only gonna charge you 900, and it's 2 years. Georgia is not even the most affordable college for 2 years, and I did it in Georgia. So if I was in like, oh man, California, 2 year colleges are free in California. We don't got no Cali people in the chat yet, but Cali, those 2 years are free. Now, the cost of living out there in California is crazy, but it's free to go to a 2 year in California. And so 900, right? That's why I would have been looking at part-time. If I had a part-time job, I would have been good. I would have been a part-time student. You're not going to force me to do something I don't want to do. If I can take my time and do the schooling and still get my degree, because it's not like we getting jobs straight out the gate for graduating faster. So why would I rush to graduate if I'm paying in cash, taking my time? Because 15 is a lot. Now, if you know you could take 15 and you like, oh yeah, they said these some easy classes here. I got like 3 easy classes and maybe 2 hard ones. That's good. Or maybe 1 hard one and 4 easy ones. That's good. Then you should take 15. Then you can rework your schedule depending on where you work at. If you work at Walmart, if you work at, some places, McDonald's, Arby's, or you work at the college, you can rearrange your schedule to fit that 15 credit hour schedule. And so I think that's always dope. So that's one way to do that. If I would be doing that, they claim it's going to save $687 million. I'm not the financial person. I'm not a finance person. I don't sit there and look at budgets all day. So about 700,000 students in the article, they said about 700,000 students would no longer be eligible for Pell Grant. And so that means the way I'm seeing it and thinking of it is 700,000 people or students won't be eligible for Pell Grant. And this will be summer. This will take effect summer 2026. If that passed the Senate, if it passes the Senate and goes straight to the president, because he most likely he's going to sign it. It was made like 7 days ago. He's been doing everything fast like that. It's guaranteed, which means this will take effect in summer 2026. That's going to hurt a lot of students. A lot of students won't be eligible for Pell Grant. Why? Because they're only taking 12 or less credit hours usually. If you're taking, you have to take the new 15 credit hours just to be eligible for your Pell Grant. That's going to hurt about 700,000 students. It's a lot of students. That's a lot of students. And so that's what they said inside the higher ed article. And who wrote that, matter of fact? So we can shout them out for writing this. This is by Catherine Knott. And they wrote this inside that higher ed. Inside higher ed is a very, at least from my school, everybody questions what's credible and not credible. I'm like, oh, okay, just saying, it's That's what they're saying. I'm not saying it's factual. I'm just giving you, hopefully, what the expertise. Because I think a lot of things in higher ed is not credible personally. Only because how broken higher ed is, and that you have more students going into student debt, not getting jobs, and not finishing school because how expensive it is. I would say what I think is credible is what I think is credible is when you're saving money and showing these students how to save money and go to school. That's credible to me. But who am I? Just a guy that got a debt-free degree, right? I'm just normal. I'm so normal. I'm so normal. I put my socks on one at a time just like you. I'm so normal. So the House Republicans want to not shop. House Republicans want to stop subsidized loans. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know what subsidized loans were. I didn't. I did not know what subsidized loans were. When I was in college, I didn't use them. I had to ask my Alex. I had to ask my Alex. So Alex told me what subsidized loans were. I didn't know. Didn't have to use them. Didn't even know the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized. She told me subsidized were the ones that if you pulled out of that and used those loans, the interest doesn't move. The interest stays the same for till you pay it back. Unsubsidized, the interest can change. And so the way I think of it is with a house. I don't have a house, but I know for a fact with houses you have interest on the house. So if you get a house with a fixed rate, that's like your subsidized, which means your house with the fixed rate, it can't fluctuate. It can't fluctuate with a fixed rate. But if you get a house that does not have a fixed rate, then your house interest rate can fluctuate. It can go up. So like if something has happened with interest rates in the economy of America and your house does not have interest rate, like a fixed interest rate, your interest rate can go all the way up because the banks need more money from you to pay that house off because of value and all the other stuff. That's just basic common just knowing. Don't ask me. That's just one of the things I learned from a person again watching the show about budgeting, but I won't say their name. So, and this is all part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is part of the Pell grants too, guys. So they want to cap how much you borrow based on your program costs. I like that one. I like that one. They do that in other countries. They do that overseas, at schools in different countries. Like I talked to some people about that from different countries before, and I read a little bit about it. So, and actually, somebody commented on that in the comment section on one of my old videos. So, if your program is, I'm sorry, whoever program this is, if your program is engineering, um, let's say the cost of engineering, where it gets tricky though is like, it depends on what school and state you're in. Like, an engineering program can have a good price at a certain school, but we're just gonna go with it. So if you're at ABC school and the program is $40,000 for the engineering program, that's from freshman to senior year. You can only pull out $40,000 for that program. Now I think I hope a bank or your federal or whichever, by the way when this comes into act, we don't know how this is gonna play out because it could get shut down because a lot of students can be harmed by it and it can never go through. There's been a lot of things getting pulled back and it never happened because it can hurt more people than help more people. But if it happens, like this is going to lead you to go like get a loan from a bank. And so, which is called, I wrote a paper about this or a little bit about it. It's in the Higher Education Act. It's called the Preferred Lender Arrangement, if I'm not mistaken, the PLA. But it's definitely PLA. And so what that does, your college has an agreement. I talked about this before. Your college has an agreement with a bank. That could be any bank you could think of. I'm not saying no bank name because they might want to sponsor me one day. But They can partner with your bank. And so, or they might want me to sponsor them, I don't know. They can partner with a bank and just say, Felton's Bank, that's me. If it is a Felton Bank, because it's such a common last name, I'm sorry. But Felton's Bank, I'm partnering with ABC institution. You can imagine your college. So your college, everybody in that college at the financial aid level, Bursar level, / business office level, they're like, look, hey student, you need to go, you need 40,000 for this major, right? They going over it, send you down like you're gonna need 40,000. You don't qualify for Pell, you don't qualify for your secondary. If you've been here listening, your secondary is what your state offers, like Hope in Georgia, it's called something else in Carolina and other places. Hey, you need 40,000. You need to go to Felton. We recommend. They're not gonna say, oh, we got this. They're gonna say, we recommend you going to. Well, the student's gonna say, I don't have 40,000. They're gonna say, well, I recommend you going to Felton's bank or this bank right here to go get it. Now, I hope the bank don't give you 40,000 at the gate. I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't. I hope they don't give you 40,000 because 40,000 to any student, 40,000 to any student, like a big lump, like a big 40,000. I don't know what they're going to do unless they're financially savvy. And so hopefully the bank is giving it to you in portions, like how much you need for the year. Usually that's how it goes, like how much you need for the year. And then they say, we'll give you this. Or they might say by semester, like come back for the next semester. They might ask you how you want to do it. You want it by semester or do you want it by year? But I doubt they're going to give you the whole thing. That's just bad business for the bank as well, I think. So they want to put a cap on how much you could borrow based on the program, based on the program cost, which I think is good because a lot of students just pull out money and pull out money, pull out money, pull out money, not really even paying for school. Like sometimes it's for gambling, it's for material, tangible things. So I do want to keep that in mind. And they talked about the last thing that I thought that was important on there. They talked about Medicaid. Um, this is once again nonpartisan. Don't get me. People, I got ate up one time on a post. I did a post. I did a YouTube post. I always got to say, don't get me. I'm just reading you what I read. So, and giving you my perspective on it. So, if federal Medicaid funding is reduced, that's what I wrote down. If federal Medicaid, so they want to reduce the Medicaid at the executive level. So we do a big budget. Like there's a big budget like every October or November. It's renewed like every October and November. Um, because we're still under the Biden administration, if I'm not mistaken. We're still under their budget. It's like a big budget, fiscal year budget. That's what it's called, fiscal year budget. And so we probably won't get into Trump's fiscal year budget until 2 years down the line, if I'm not mistaken. So like maybe when Trump third year come, because that second year he's working on, they're working on it the first and second year, but it won't be able to be introduced and used until that third year of his term in office. Not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken. I wish we had some political people in here, but usually that's how it go. And so so they're wanting to reduce federal Medicaid, take money out of federal Medicaid, and pretty much make it be on the states. So if they're going to take money, so they're like, we're not allocating money. Like it's like a budget. Like they put a lot of money in defense, which is like military, CIA, like pretty much DOD, Department of Defense. And so they put a lot of money in this and this and this. What they feel like it's important. That's what usually a president and their administration do. They allocate money to places. If you work in any job with funding and all that, it's the same way in higher ed. Higher ed might say, we're going to take money from sports and put more money in research to advance our institution. It's just like that, allocating money. And so when they take money from the Medicaid and when they take money, when not even take money, when they say we're not going to allocate, we are not going to allocate that much money to Medicaid. That's going to have to make the states, like I'm in Georgia, that's going to have to make the states be like, do we want to put more money in do we want to put more money in Medicaid? The state has to make a decision. And then the state has to realize because they're doing theirs too, once they figure out like, oh, they're not going to give us that much federal funding to help with Medicaid or that much money. Usually it's federal. We're going to say federal because it's from the ZETs to federal. They're going to say, well, I'm going to just say the ZETs. The ZETs not going to give us that much money to fund Medicaid. So we're going to have to, the state of Georgia is going to have to figure out where are we going to get money to fund Medicaid. That means this person pretty much presented it in the article like they're going to have to pull money probably from higher ed, education, because usually education in Georgia, at least for sure, is not really the best. And so they're like, well, we just take money from education or take money from healthcare or take money from whoever. And so we can keep the Medicaid. Then it comes into the question, do we want to keep Medicaid? So when we have a new person running for governor or whoever, like these the questions you would probably most likely ask, like, hey, are you going to keep Medicaid in the state of Georgia or are you going to fund it? But besides Medicaid, hey, are you going to take money from higher ed? That's my career field. So then I have a perspective of like, are you going to cut higher education? Because who's going to be infected? The public colleges, public universities. That's what they talked about in the article. But if you're private, you're good. So for my professionals, they're probably trying to go private to protect them and their family because private gets their own money. They rely heavily on federal funding too. Don't get it twisted. They do. They still abide by they have to abide by rules if they want the federal funding because they have people writing grants. So they could still rely heavily on the federal funding. So, but people, if you ask me, I think it would be best to go private because private won't be hit hard as like public though, because public relies, even the biggest schools you don't think rely on federal funding, relies on federal funding from the Department of Education, like Harvard. Like Trump saying they keeping $3 billion, I think, from Harvard in grants, because Harvard writes grants. They get a lot of money from the Department of Education. What do you think about the employees for the Department of EDU being reinstated? I'm drinking water. I'm getting, I guess dehydrated is the word. Let's see what Alex Marie said. What do you think about the employees for the Department of EDU being reinstated? I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing because the Department of Education. So for everybody out there, the Department of Education is, you have one in DC. You have a headquarters that's in DC. Then you have a Department of Education in every state, every regional office in each state. Every state has one, unless it got shut down. So every state has a Department of Education. When the one that a lot of it was regional and the headquarters that lost a lot of employees, which means they couldn't do their work. And you're like, what does the Department of Education do? What they're supposed to do, as I like to say, they're supposed to police colleges, universities. When your tuition keeps going up, they're supposed to be like, I just like to do that because that's how I remember them easily. They're supposed to be like, hey, why are you raising tuition on these students or this school? Like, why is this? Yeah, they'll go to the president of the college or whoever they need to speak to. Like, why are you raising the tuition? Why are you raising the room and board? Because, I'm big on that. I don't know why that goes up. And that everybody asks that question. Why is it going up? Why hasn't there been a tuition freeze policy in place? So I know that was a great thing of them being reinstated, but it was a way to stop policing them, I think. It was a way to stop them from doing work. And then, like Trump said, he wanted to put the power back into the states. But if you put the power back into the states, it's like, nobody can police the schools. So the schools can still do what they want to do. I don't think it's a good idea. I think higher education should be a non-partisan, or not non-partisan. Is it non-partisan? Should be partisan. I think it's non-partisan. Lord. They shouldn't be on Democrat or Republican. I don't know if I seen something with non-partisan, but that's me reading. But it should be partisan. Non-partisan, partisan. Hold on, y'all. I'm not even gonna do this to myself. I'm not gonna do this. I can Google it. I'm not gonna do this to myself. Yeah, nonpartisan. I had it right. I was like, dang, I don't know why I had a brain fart talking to y'all. So yeah, I think higher education should be nonpartisan. Great question. Was it Alice Marie? Great question, Alice Marie. Great question. But yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like they got reinstated, but are they really? To me, are they really doing any work? I think the most they do that's really effective is research. Because one of my classmates actually used to work with the Department of Education. She told me they used to police like the financial aid section. That's how good she was at that. And so they used to police the financial aid. And when you police the financial aid, you're making sure they're following all the protocols. It's like anything, like when you have like the Department of Health people out there, when they're coming to inspect your restaurant, same thing with the Department of Education. They're like the feds. Perfect example. They're the feds. Like they're coming to make sure you're doing what you need to do. They're like the IRS. They're like, except for higher education. Great example. Great, great example. So, but they haven't really been doing anything because higher education prices still been going up. So I don't know what they've been doing these past 10 years or whatever. I don't know. That's why I was not a big fan of like really any administration when it came to higher education. Wise, can't speak for education like K through 12, but higher education, disgusted, disappointed. So that's how we created this. And so that was the last thing on there for that one. Talking about the big beautiful bill at Pell grants, and we still need to cover some things. So one of them that I did notice, okay, this was a fun one because we've been talking about some stuff. So this was a fun one though. Esports and higher ed. I found this article, and I was intrigued by it because I'm like esports, playing video games in college. So how do you feel about esports in college? So it's like pretty much you can major in gaming. It's always been a thing, but they're really letting you like major in gaming to where like you're a major in it, game in it, but it also goes into different career fields playing the game. So like you'll be in like business, you'll be in like I said business, marketing, broadcasting. So like, cause we know when people play the game, for my gamers out there, what my game controller at? Cause everybody plays the game now. Some people rather play the game than go party. Some people say, "Oh, you need to stop playing the game to distract you." Okay, you spend 4 or 5 hours playing the game. You spend 4 or 5 hours going to a club or something, for example, or partying, because college students like to party. But you can spend, instead of doing 4 hours or 3 to 4, 5 hours, however many hours in the club, some people prefer to play the game, while they're not doing their schoolwork. Some people prefer to be inside. And so I like that. That was intriguing to me. It's not over. No, we're not done talking. No, we're not. I'm just pulling up the article. Don't do that. I'm not done. Where is it? I want to pull some facts from here real quick. Nothing crazy. I just want to pull a little facts from it, just a little. So, they're saying esports and higher ed. Blah blah blah. They had some people on here. They were showing like a photo. Guys playing Fortnite. It's Fortnite, of course. It's always Fortnite. Why is it always Fortnite? And it says schools are engaging a student population that have not engaged with schools before. Schools are engaging a student population that have not been engaged with schools, that have not engaged with schools before, and who have not had good retention rates. Schools have not had good retention rates. Schools have not even had good enrollment rates lately. Which brings the question, like you probably seen enrollment go up for big schools, but some schools are trash. Like a lot of schools are not retaining students because students are like, they're literally like this. I'll drop out of school to be a screamer. How many screamers do we see playing like on their phone, playing a game, and they're like not on their phone, but playing a game, going live, setting up their own stuff. The kids are different these days. I can't say kid because I'm part of that generation, but they're different these days. And so they're like, I would just, oh, let me get my controller. They's like, I would just, it's probably gonna be a thumbnail picture. They're like, I'll just play my game and do that, and I'll work a regular job because it's not like college getting me jobs anyway. That's what they're saying. That's not me. That's what they're saying. I believe everybody should go get their degree. If you can get a degree playing the game, and they're saying you can still use like business. I'm gonna keep this up here just in case I grab it again. And so, just in case they're saying you can use, it's gonna help with business. So, my students may not be interested in finance or accounting or just general business, but when you show them the skills are related to esports industry, they see themselves as wanting to get involved. So like bringing the esports to business and finance and marketing, which is interesting. Marketing. I seen marketing in here I was reading. So they said one of the they said at least according to a program director at Shenandoah, I believe Shenandoah, I hope I said it right, University, which says it has one of the oldest academic programs in esports in the country, dating back to 2018. We are the one of the first movers, so we had to show parents and administrators and even other programs why this is something families would see as worth spending their money on, says Duran. The answer, she says, was to house the esports program in the business department. So students take core business courses along with specialized classes in things like esports marketing and esports management. And then they said it ends up being kind of a bait and switch, taking rapid gamers who might be happy to spend hours learning how to stream video games online or make social media posts about their gaming exploits and convince them there are other ways to use those digital skills as well. My students may not be interested in finance or accounting or general business, Duran says, but when you show them the skills that are related to esports industry, they see themselves wanting to get involved. It's creating a path toward a career for students who might not have seen a path for them in college, she adds. So, prime example. I just wanted to highlight that. Like, once again, she said they didn't see themselves going to college. Like if you would have told me I can play the game and major in business, so apparently y'all saying like, even though I'm a gamer and accounting, y'all like, look, if you're gonna start you a streaming business, like you're gonna live stream, like you want, they're being open to you live streaming and making money. So, but you need to know how to account. You need to know how to be not an accountant, but you need to know like what a balance sheet look like. It's like what's a balance sheet, Henry? The numbers should be balanced on both sides. That's a balance sheet. That's why they call that a balance sheet. My instructor said that. That's why they call that balance sheet. And she said it was plenty of people who make a lot of money in business. We all probably heard this, but from my professor, she says a lot of people who are making money, a lot of money in business, they are not famous and stuff, but they don't know what a balance sheet looks like. So they're getting robbed literally in their face. People are taking their money. So as a screamer, you don't want to be illiterate. You want to at least know what accounting is. You want to know basic business, right? You want to know like if somebody reaching out saying, hey, we want you to advertise this. You need to know like, hey man, it's 10,000 or whatever. It's this or whatever. Or like royalties, copyrights, all that little, it's like basic stuff. Like you don't gotta know everything, but you need to know basics, right? So they're going to teach you that while letting you play games and take courses on playing games and doing this and doing that. I thought that was dope. Esports. I like that a little bit. And let's see, did we get any posts while we were talking? Any updates? We are not at an hour yet. We got a few minutes. We might go a little over. Let's see. Let's see. If we got anything. I'm gonna go LinkedIn because a lot of people be on LinkedIn in the morning. Oh, one of them too. This guy be reading his information. His name is Thomas Anderson. He's on he's on LinkedIn, guys. He's like very passionate about NILs and stuff. I like talking about NILs because students need to know. Like people think this is only for students who are not sports. It's for everybody who going to college. And for my athletes out there who are going to school, some of you are going to schools that are not accredited, and you're an athlete, which means if you go to this school, I'm going back to that post because I can't find it. If you are going to a school that's not accredited, when you try to transfer and keep playing football, you will be a freshman in the classroom again, but be like a junior, senior on the football field. And it's a setup because you're going to make the school more money by doing your thing on the football field. And so this guy, he does some good posts. I thought I saved it because it's not showing, which is normal. I always have to find stuff. It's okay though, I'll find it. Because I believe I saved it. Oops. Where is it? Saved. Yeah, there's some posts going on. Let's talk. Let's talk about this. But I wanted to show this one. It was about a volleyball team. They had just made it to like the Final Four. Remember, you're not safe. Athletes, regular students, of course, but athletes, you're not safe. Just because let's be clear, just because you make it far, like this team in volleyball made it far. They made it to the Final Four. The Final Four. What school was this? The Grand Canyon University. Fun fact about Grand Canyon University. They have stock in the stock market. You can invest in Grand Canyon University. You can invest in Grand Canyon University, and they have stock, for example. I'm not against it because the school making money, and I'm pretty sure I don't know if they have good prices, but to stay on topic, volleyball, yeah, the Grand Canyon University, they made it to like the Final Four, and he was like, after they made it to the Final Four though, their program got cut. The program got cut. And I guess it's not, from what he said, I was trying to see it. This isn't just about volleyball. He was like, it's a warning shot for all Olympic and non-revenue sports across the country. So I guess this the men's volleyball team. I guess they're not as revenue driven as basketball and football in college, from what he's stating. And they cut the program. They cut the program. And then he said to the NCAA, Thomas Anderson said, to the NCAA athletic departments and lawmakers, pay attention. Without action, we risk gutting the very foundation of college athletics in favor of profits for just two sports. Yeah, so that's what he is saying. He is saying that he's saying like they wasn't making much revenue, so the program got cut. And so that happens. That happens, right? It happens. So that happens. I thought that was pretty interesting. So let's see if we got any posts, guys. Let's see any posts. We're just looking and going through some stuff. All right. FY, I don't know why are people be writing long paragraphs on LinkedIn. They be typing essays, man. Whew. I be skipping some of it. I be like, man, I didn't come on here to read all this. They be typing a lot. But he did say something about this guy. I don't know who this guy is. He's a finance person, finance director. Um, Guru, that's his first name. And he says cash is king, cash is king, cash is king. And he said Harvard isn't alone, but he said U.S. universities issued $12 billion in bonds in Q1 2025. Yale is reportedly trying to sell at least $6 billion in private equity holdings on the secondary market. He's talking about some major finance stuff. We got to bring a finance person in here, guys. We got to get us a finance person. But I already know Ivy Leagues. Ivy Leagues, they got that bread. And then one of my professors actually went to Cornell. They got that bread, man. They got a lot of bread. I'm gonna save that post, and we can look into this. I'll look into it a little more before getting on, because he typed a lot. And we should get a finance person for higher ed, or who understands the finance of higher ed, because they have a lot of money. Like they're investing in stocks, they're investing in, like you said, private equities, 12 billion. Like they have a lot of land, like literally monopolies and stuff. Like when I say monopoly, like they got, when you go to a certain city, if it's a big city, you might go to this restaurant in this strip, like it's a strip of restaurants, food places. So it's probably those food places that are owned in that strip, it's probably owned by the school, depending on how close it is, just for example. Let's see what else. We are at 10:03. We at 10:03. Feel free to comment, guys. Feel free to comment. I don't think nothing is going on here. Let me see. Yeah, we'll probably get some stuff later on, of course. Nothing new. Higher education, they ain't up yet, probably. Or they might be working. I don't know. I'm just seeing a lot of stock stuff. Usually stocks, because they had that day off yesterday, so you're gonna see a lot more of that. Even people in higher ed be talking about some stocks. It's crazy. Hmm. Okay. So I want to say I think that's everything. I don't want to see a new post come up, guys, right before we leave. And start a 2 year. All this is to say, start a 2 year. When we talked about that you can't be a part-time student no more, possibly if that bill, remember the one big beautiful bill, if that actually goes through, you're going, look, we just got something right there. Wow. But if you can't what I was saying, if you can't, I wasn't saying it like this, but if you can't be full time with the 15 credit hours, if you know that's too much, be part time. Don't play into the hands, play away from the hands. And so be part time. You gotta have your own money. And then the guy, cash is king. He was saying that in the post, but cash is king. It's good to leverage debt sometimes, I guess. For the people out there who think you should use it, I don't blame you. Because once again, I am paying off a car myself. So sometimes you have to. I was trying to beat the tariffs in case the tariffs did go up. I didn't want to have to pay a lot more for a car. Who knows how long this will last? So sometimes you have to play the game. I like to say playing the game. And it's nothing wrong if you have to take out a loan, but I say it's only wrong if you don't pay it back. You have to be very strategic with it. But starting at a 2 year, you shouldn't have to take out a loan. I was at my 2 year for 3 years, and that saved me a lot of money. Yeah, I missed the extra year that I could have spent at a university, but it didn't make a difference, honestly. Um, Personally, it just didn't make a difference. Like when I got to my university, everybody was worrying about partying, hanging out. I was more focused on making investments. I made an early investment in Palantir. If for all my people out there who don't know what Palantir is, and I was able to do that by saving up money at my 2 year because it was so cheap. When I had a part-time job, I was saving my money, and that's how you do it. And then Palantir, and if anybody knows about Palantir, that company is doing amazing now. And that's when I was in college. So imagine if I wasn't focusing like I needed to, not only on college. Yeah, I was doing that. That was cakewalk. I got bored. I needed to figure out how to, like, when I graduate, I know I wasn't going to be in a high demanding career field that pays like six figures, 200, 250, a quarter million, more. Like, I knew that. I knew that. And I really don't want that much paying a salary, to be honest with you. It's too much work. Extra supervision. Extra, I got to supervise people. Like, some people are doing that out the gate. Shout out to you. Some people are making that out the gate, fresh out of college, and it's good. But I've seen a lot of people on YouTube, because like I say, education is education. They talk about it like it's not worth it. They get burned out, da da da. I feel like it's worth it when you climb up and do it. But trying to get it so young, you need to enjoy some things, figure out some things. And so it's never been a race. That's why we got that turtle back there. You see the turtle? That's a turtle. And like you just take your time. Like when I was at the 2 year, took my time, bridged to the 4 year, it was over. Took my time making decisions, go graduate school. Alex, she was going to graduate school. I followed her. And so this last one I want to talk about, so 2 year, then 4 year. So the Trump administration moved Tuesday. This is by CNBC. The Trump administration moved Tuesday to terminate all remaining federal, this is an hour ago. The Trump administration moved Tuesday to terminate all remaining federal government contracts with Harvard University, which are worth a reported $100 million. It's already a heated financial and legal war with the private school. The U.S. General Service Administration in a letter to top procurement office to procurement officials at federal agencies calling on them to review for termination the contracts, claimed that Harvard, quotations, claimed that Harvard continues to engage in race discrimination in its admission process and other areas of campus life. The New York Times first reported the GSA's letter. Trump administration moves to cut rest of Harvard contracts with federal government. Now, let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's let's be clear. As I said before, Harvard has never been a good school. They always been a great Ivy League school. Like, let me clarify. They never been. They always been bad boys and girls. That's a bad school. Like, I heard from people who've been in the higher education game longer than me, like who work, like I said once again, who worked in the Department of Education. Harvard does whatever and whatever they want. Discrimination in the admission process. This is nothing new. Everybody does it, but for them to actually be handling this, doing this, I would like to get some different perspectives on it, because they say they're cutting it because they've been discriminating. That's interesting to see. I don't have much on that, but that's interesting to see. And that should be everything for us. We wanted to talk about that big, beautiful bill. We wanted to talk about them Pell Grant cuts. We talked about a little bit about the Esports. We had some good conversations. 2 year to 4 year. Hope you got something out of this. 2 year to 4 year, man. 2 year to 4 year. Start at 2 year, then go to a 4 year. Start at 2 year, go to a 4 year. Start at 2 year, go to a 4 year. And that's all. We will be back here tomorrow. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. And we hope to see you. We will see you.